Welcome to episode 2 of Under the Mango Tree with Seikou082, a Vtuber, an avatar creator. Hello. And today we've invited Seikou to have a very unique perspective on what it means to be not just a Twitch streamer, but a Vtuber, which is its own little niche. Well, it's not so little anymore, but it's quite big. But it's its own niche in the streaming world. You can see VTubers on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, and other places. So yeah, first of all, Seikou, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here today or tonight. I think for your time zone. So, yes, as Mango said, I'm basically a VTuber because I'm using a virtual avatar. I think the word speaks for itself. Yeah, I think I don't really consider myself like the best ever VTuber, but I think I might have a decent perspective of the whole thing to explain it a little bit for people who are unfamiliar with this thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, I hope we have a good conversation about it and clear a few questions that people may have about this whole scene.
yeah. Now, Seikou, tell me, to someone who
Mm.
doesn't know what a VTuber or an avatar, like what is that? Can you describe that?
Sure, no problem about that. So yeah, basically a VTuber is kind of like an umbrella term, an umbrella word for describing this kind of presenting style. It's like it's basically the same as a normal streamer, but instead of showing your actual face, you display yourself through a fictional avatar that may or may not be necessarily similar to your real self. There's some people who actually like to make their avatar similar to themselves, and there's some people who actually makes them completely different as what they would like to be, what they would like to look like. Because that's the funny and that's the beauty of this thing. Because you can literally be whatever you want in the way you want. And yeah, speaking of presenting the material, it's some type of content creation that it's not really different in the to your normal streamer in the sense that you're in front of a camera at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The camera is capturing your movements, the microphone is capturing your voice. You're in front of an audience, you're presenting a game or speaking with the chat or something like that. And basically, it's the same. So I'm not really sure why there's such difference with the normal community. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the way I see it is that is sounds really secular that I mentioned it, but the only difference is the presentation.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you discover or find out about VTubing?
I think myself included, and I think I speak for a big volume of this whole community was during the lockdown, the first lockdown of that ugly year.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We were impacted by some by some clips around YouTube that we saw some anime girls doing funny, silly clips or things. And that's the thing because VTubers has existed as a thing since like 2015, 2016. So so they were a thing until 2018 because back then VTubers were well regular VTubers. They would make pre-made videos and only publish them,
Mm-hmm.
and they would barely ever interact with the audience. So I think it's more thanks to the companies like Hololive or Ninja Sanjay because those were the ones that implemented streamers streaming VTubers as we know them today,
Mm-hmm.
because they started that bonding with the audience. They started reading super chats. They started reading the chat and getting into local memes. So that was a boundary that got broken from the fantasy, that strange world from anime. You usually saw this anime girl in the world like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if this girl knew about this meme? Wouldn't it be fun if this girl sang this funny song? And guess what? It actually happened.
Yeah.
That's that's when the boom began,
Yeah. I think.
because yeah, you started seeing those anime girls doing those funny things, referencing those funny memes, and that really got the heart of everyone.
Yeah. Like I think. Um, the one. Well, Hatsune Miku is really popular, but also Kizuna Ai. I think. Would you say that character is one of the most popular
Yeah,
in?
definitely. The Kisunai was definitely a real pioneer in this thing. And I think what really skyrocketed her popularity was that famous slash infamous clip of her saying the F word playing Resident Evil. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was that game. And yeah, people were like, "Oh, look at this funny anime girl streaming. She's saying the F word playing a Resident Evil game. Isn't that fun?" And yeah,
Yeah.
people really accepted it. People really liked it, and they were like, "Hey, they actually react to things we know about. They actually react to things we say to them. It's
Yeah.
like if anime girls were real or something like this." There's a, so yeah,
The dream.
there was this bond that was created from that moment, and nothing has been the same ever since. That's a really dramatic way to paint it, as but that's the way I
That's
see it,
yeah.
because yeah, VTubers were only started to be taken seriously after that moment.
Mm-hmm. And out of all of the people in the VTubing community, who's your biggest influence?
Hmm, that's a really good question, because I have watched a few of them, but not really a few. I'm lying. I have watched a bunch of them, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them, more than I would like to admit. But yeah, I think I don't really have a specific VTuber to point at as my biggest influence, because I have, like, I don't really base myself in the style of any other VTuber around, because I just simply hop into this program, turn on my camera, and start streaming whatever I want and say what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way normal streamers do it anyway. So
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. Pretty much.
And I'm
Um.
pretty sure that many VTubers do that as well, and many VTubers has done it as well. So I think that would be considered as an indirect inspiration, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we get into what you do as a VTuber, I think we should really question who is behind the avatar. So my question to you is, where are you from? What do you do? Who is Seiko behind the camera?
Hmm. I think that kind of defeats the purpose of the whole VTuber character thing, doesn't it? So yeah, I think I can answer a few of those questions. Like, I am from Mexico. That's no secret. English is not my first language, so if my English machine gets broken, please bear with me with that. I hope I
Yeah.
hope people can understand me right now. It's not early in the morning, so it shouldn't be that bad. But yeah, sometimes I can barely create sentences in my mind. So yeah, uh, right now I'm happily working at a home office job. So I'm basically stuck into the PC the whole day,
Oh wow.
and yeah, sometimes I feel like simply turning on my stream and streaming whatever I'm doing on the PC.
Yeah.
Sometimes it may be interesting, sometimes it may not be interesting. It doesn't really matter to me. I just wanna share a little bit of my knowledge and a little bit of my time with new people and old friends and whatnot. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What about in between work and in between streaming? What do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies?
Yeah, I play Fortnite a lot. More than I would like to admit. But when I'm not playing Fortnite, I like to make 3D models, either as commissions or simply because I want to create OCs and stuff like that. So yes.
Is
So
it
yeah, yes.
is it difficult to make all these OCs and avatars?
Hmm. I think it depends on the character, on the
Mm.
design, whatever you wanted to have, whatever you wanted to move, however you wanted to work. For example, let me let me show you something here. It's another avatar that I used back in the day.
Okay. Ah.
Look at this. You remember this guy? I think you remember this
I
guy.
was
Yeah,
very
yeah. This is another original character of mine that I used back in the day. So yeah, as you can see, it works different. It doesn't really have a mouth, but it moves the eyelids as lips.
young.
It only has one eye configured, so it's only attached to my right eye. So I can
Oh.
literally close my left eye and nothing will happen. So so that's a really funny thing. Let's go back to my main character
Well,
so
that's pretty cool.
people don't get confused with it. So yes,
Yeah.
look, I'm pretty boy again. Yeah.
Did you model any of your avatars to be like you? Because you said some people make avatars of their real body. Are any of yours
Mm,
like that?
yeah, a little bit. Actually, this character of Seiko, I think it's uh a tiny little bit inspired on myself. If I wasn't overweight, I think I would probably manage to nail a cosplay of her. So yeah.
And how do you get inspired to make these? What is your like? What is the process in your head?
Hmm. Actually, you may not believe this, or maybe you would. It depends. But I'm really bad at creating designs for characters. I can barely ever make a character for myself on my own. So sometimes I ask friends to tell me what ideas they have for a character. Actually, the design of my actual avatar Seiko came from a joke image. I'm not sure if you would be able to pass the image in the stream or not, but yeah, a friend of mine drew the concept art of a character that was a female version of this character because we saw in a web that was some of those bot generator things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like find out your VTuber persona or something like that, and I was, hey, this may give me something funny. Let's see what does it say. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was like a CEO with a silver hair. He make good haircuts. Yeah, and one friend was like, "Hey, you want me to draw that character for you so you have an idea of what it might look like?" And she knew that I was studying engineering and all that, so she added these elements of circuits and other stuff.
Oh.
Actually, I think I may have a really early version of that character. Let me
Okay.
see if I can find it.
I
Mm,
guess this is the fun of having an avatar. You can just transform at any moment.
yeah, that's a really good thing about it. Let me. Oh, oh, here it is. Let's see if it works. If it actually still works. If I got the right version, because I make tons of versions. There it is.
Oh,
This was the really OG version of my avatar character. So yeah,
I like the
let's
floppy
let's
disk hair
let's
clip, I
zoom out.
guess.
Yeah, there it
Oh
is.
wow.
It's pretty, isn't it?
Yeah. Is that a name tag on the shirt?
Yep.
Oh,
Let me remember how to zoom in. Yeah, it was a character CEO of something. So yeah,
I
and
like it.
after that, I made a another early version of this character. I simply did a gender
Mm.
bend version of my character, and then I evolved from this. I think I have this other version. This
Oh
was the
wow.
right second version when I made the gender bend, and right
That's really
after
cool.
that we changed where we are right now.
Oh, I see the transform. I see the evolution. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I don't like to stuck in the same style. I don't like to have a character avatar that doesn't represent what I have learned over this time that I have been doing this 3D stuff. Like I made the first version like 2 years ago and back in
Wow.
2020. So
Yeah.
it was like, why should I keep that version if I can make something actually better? So I made something better and I created it from scratch. As you can see, even the floppy disk is different. It has more detail than ever.
Yeah, it's like shiny.
Yes.
I like that. I like. So this isn't going to be your final version of anything, is it?
Hmm. Probably not, but I think I'm gonna stick with it for a little longer because I honestly don't think that I can make something better anytime soon. And I gotta say I'm pretty satisfied with that because I'm not if this is an issue that I should worry about, but I honestly don't feel any. I barely ever feel proud of my work, if I'm honest with you.
Okay. Why is that?
Sometimes I finish something. I finish because I make music, I draw, I make models, and I think over the years I have been learning to do all that stuff because some part of me feels like a little empty. Like
Mm.
I want to find what I'm actually good at. I want to find what I uh, I want to find what I'm meant to be doing for as a natural.
Mm.
And sometimes I finish something and I'm like, no, this isn't really what I had in mind. This isn't really how I wanted it to look like, and I don't really feel satisfied. So I jump into doing something else that I liked doing. Like I like listening to music, and then I was like, hey, I like listening to this kind of music. What if I try to do this kind of music as well? Then I
Mm.
do it and I don't feel satisfied with it. And I'm like, hey, I like looking at these 3D models. What if I try making 3D models myself as well? And I do that, and I'm like, no, this is really hard. This is really I'm not really satisfied with what I was like, hey, I like how I like this person's 2D art. What if I try to draw myself as well? And I jump right back into it, and cycle goes on and on and on.
Mm.
Maybe I'm being a little hard on myself because some people has complimented my work, but I try to not get too blind with that because I'm aware that in the end of the day, your friends will always try to support you. Your friends will always tell you whatever you're doing is nice, and I don't want that to. I don't want to let that bias l- let me stagnate into the same
Mm-hmm.
style, into the same thing, and not improve because hey, my friends like it. Maybe I'm good as I am right now, but yeah, everything in excess can be harmful. So
Mm.
I'm aware that maybe I should change a little bit of my mind with that. So
Yeah.
So to start with that, I decided to start using the Saboteur a little longer and wait a little longer into changing into a new one.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, there's always improvements to be made, but we can't be too harsh, too harsh of a critic on ourselves, can we? Um, do you think? Well, you've been creating avatars now for 2 years, roughly. Do you think you will be a full-time streamer or VTuber?
Hmm. Now that you mention it, I think I would like to be a full time VTuber sometime if I really get some time slots during my everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in some months, like in September, October, I can really commit to streaming. Maybe not every day, but some evenings and whatnot. And yeah, maybe if I get to fix some technical things that has stopped me from actually BitTubing in general, because uh you may recall, maybe people here don't know, but some months ago, some year, I mean last year actually, I tried to start a project like yeah, project as Ospherian, the Ospherian
Mm-hmm.
project as I call it,
Mm-hmm.
when I wanted to brand myself as an actual full-fledged VTuber with a fully made avatar, with fully made music from scratch, with fully backgrounds renders and all of that. But I really couldn't find any free time for that because some things happen in my house, some personal stuff hit on. You know how it gets sometimes. Then I was unemployed and I started this new job, and I needed to get the hang of things once again from scratch. So I had to take the whole thing back. Now that I'm starting to settle down in this new lifestyle, I think I can start thinking about going back at it again as a whole. The thing is that I also have some technical issues, like not having a really good internet connection. And you know how things can really get bad here in third world countries like Mexico. So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
I'm happy that you never watched the very last stream I made as a Spherian. It really got so really laggy that the chat was like 5 minutes behind.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a stream.
Oh wow. I think that's something that a lot of streamers go through, though, especially from countries such as Mexico. I don't want to say third world because it's not exactly third world anymore. Um, but people from developing countries tend to struggle more with like internet connection or just even just buying a decent PC. What challenges have you faced being in Mexico as a content creator?
The thing is that if you want to be I'm gonna say it straight away. If you want to be a content creator in Mexico or any Latin American country, don't do that for the money. Yeah, don't don't just grab a model and jump right into it, expecting to get tons of money and advertisements, collabs, and whatnot, because you're not gonna get that easily. I mean, if you're friends with the right people, you may have a chance to do that, but
Hmm.
just do that because you like to do it.
Hmm.
Like don't make it so obvious. People will notice it when you're only here for the money, and they won't like you. They won't really appreciate being seen as simply numbers. Try to engage with the people around, and I think that's something really valuable in Latin American countries in general, because there's not a lot of money flowing around here. So I think if you come here, come for for the experience mostly. And yeah, I think that technical issues like bad internet connection is something that you eventually get to work around. Like getting a good PC is something that you should actually definitely should look around. I luckily have built a really beefy PC, so so yes, that's why I really decided to jump into it. If not, trust me, you will
Mm.
probably never see me streaming.
So you built your own PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you build PCs and you build avatars. That's those are great skills to have.
I didn't really build it myself. I built it with the help of a friend of mine in real life. But yeah, I helped him handling the tools and all the and all of that stuff.
Okay.
That was a funny day.
Um, do you think in your situation, do you think it's still possible to like suddenly explode into popularity or like yeah, suddenly be the the most watched VTuber?
You know, that's a question that not only every VTuber, but every content creator makes to themselves at some point. And yeah, I think that it's the same answer for both cases because there are way too many content creators. There are way too many streamers. I think there are more streamers than watchers in Twitch today. So standing out is really a challenge for all types of content creators. You really have to do something that if not other people can really give something that other people may be actually really interested in, something that it's booming right now. Like that's that's the reason why streamers plays new games because they are aware that not everyone is getting the game they want, so they watch their favorite personality playing it. And how do you stand out from all the people playing that same game they want? Exactly with that word that I did mention. I hope you paid attention to it. Personality. So there's a few factors to consider into booming into popularity. I did mention that knowing the right people can also help, but
Mm-hmm.
don't try to just just run around Twitter searching for collabs, searching for places to spam your channel because people don't like spam. Like
Mm.
if they see you posting your channel everywhere, they will actually avoid it.
Yep.
I think you should actually try to present something that may interest them, and maybe you will create a fan base, maybe a niche one, maybe a really big one, but it's a fan base in the end of the day. That's
Mm-hmm.
actually what I did mention that you should do it because you love it, because you like to do it. Like if there's a game that you really like to play, you can try to actually stream it. There's something that you really like to do that people may get interested in, like drawing, because there's a lot of streamers that like to make art streams, and they are
Yes.
really what because people like to watch them to learn the techniques. They like to learn the workflow, and there's something valuable in every type of streamer, in every person actually as a whole. It's a thing that people need to find out how to exploit that thing, how
Mm-hmm.
to present in a way that may be engaging for other audiences.
Yep.
I talk about it as if I was an expert or something like that. When I don't do that personally, but yeah, that's
It's
the way I
fine.
see it. I haven't really found my own way on how to do that, but yeah, I think we're all learning about that together.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. I think we are. I think it's okay to have that kind of opinion because even the streamers who are at the top, uh, even they are still learning. They're not. I wouldn't say they're complete experts in the field because the field of streaming is always changing. Um, but do you think, in terms of VTubers, do you think there is a point where you can say, ah, they've made it big, they're great, or they're doing great?
Hmm. You know the the whole concept of happiness and reaching your own roof is something subjective, or that's my opinion. It's something that you have to find out on your own. Like myself, for example, I wouldn't really like to be really, really famous, you know. I wouldn't really like to have like an audience of thousands of people because I would really get extremely nervous. You have no idea how nervous I was when we started streaming. That's why I was roaming around the same answer for quite some minutes. So sorry about that. So
That's okay.
yeah, I'm getting the hang of it right now. So yeah, I think that it's something that people have to find on their own. Some people wanna make it really big, have a really big impact in media. Some people want to be found but covered by VTuber agencies because let me tell you that there are actual VTuber agencies that makes contracts. They provide models and avatars and even lore to streamers to basically role play as a character.
Oh.
I think Hololive is like the best example I have right in the tip of my tongue right now for that because they're normal streamers that are hired by the company and they're like, well, this is your character, this is your name, this is your avatar. You'll find out how to perform as this person. So yeah, try to stick to these guidelines and you'll be good.
Oh, it's
So
almost like
yeah,
an acting job.
yeah, basically,
Yeah, except you're using an avatar.
yeah. I think that's the main difference between agencies and indie VTubers because indie VTubers, like those you can find a bunch of in Twitter and here in Twitch, they don't really follow any script, they don't really follow any gimmick. They are just themselves in front of a camera using a character model, just like myself. I think it's safe to say. So yeah,
Mm.
I'm not really I'm not really 100% sure if that has to do something with success, but it's a difference that is worth taking notes from.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and you mentioned you wouldn't love a huge audience because you're very nervous, and if you had the opportunity to collaborate with someone who does have a big audience, like a VTuber, would you do that?
Probably depending on the kind of stream that it would be about because one doesn't simply jump right into a collab with a stranger. It may it may drive people into uncomfortable situations if they don't really know each other from time before.
Mm.
I know you for years. I think maybe 10 years
Yeah.
actually. So so yeah, I find it really hard for me to simply open up into some other people, other person's stream and appear there. So yeah, it may be something depending of the person and how open they are and how extrovert they are. Yeah, that's the that I was missing. How extrovert they are. So yeah, I think it's not really about being nervous, but like every time you're open into a big audience, there's always a lot of kinds of people around in
Mm.
the chat and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's always nice people that will discover you and like you. There's always people that will not like you, and they will be like, "Hey, why are you wasting your time with this person who has no charisma or personality?" Like, I don't really feel I'm really really capable of. standing to that kind of stuff with unknown people, because I have some things that has happened to me in the past. Like there's a reason why I don't use Facebook anymore, but I don't really want to dive deep into that stuff. So yeah, I think it's something personal in my case.
Okay, it's personal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say there's definitely all types of streamers out there that can make it in different ways. Some are very extroverted, and some are actually very introverted, and still there's like a niche for everyone. I think it's just being able to find what that niche is, and I feel like that's kind of your your process right now, is trying to find your niche, trying to find out your favorite skills to use. Um, you mentioned how long we've known each other. I think it's actually now 12 years. I think it's 12
Oh
years now.
God,
Yeah,
yeah. Who
it's
would
been
have
a
thought?
while. So yeah, I've seen some of your trajectory in life in general. Um, but let's say the streaming is new to both of us. But let's say in a few years, in a few months, years, what where do you see your journey going?
Hmm. Actually, I don't like to make big plans in the this kind of stuff
Mm,
because it's a shaky road. You never know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know where you are today, but you may not know where you're gonna be tomorrow. So I like to keep my feet on the ground and be like, well, today I'm gonna make a stream about Splatoon, let's say.
mm,
Yeah, I try to keep it day by day. It's not really something that you can plan of like, well, in 5 months I'm gonna have 20 viewers and I'm gonna be streaming this with all these people. I think that if you make that kind of expectations and you don't really have a plan on how to accomplish them, you're gonna feel like you have failed to yourself.
that is true.
Maybe I see it that way because I'm not really taking all this stuff about streaming that seriously or not as seriously as other people because I have met some people that got into Vtubing to actually make a living out of it.
Mm,
Like I have seen them that they spend a lot of money in 2D models and 3D models in motion capture, and they really feel down when they they have seen a year or two pass and they're still with the same viewership number and the same subscriptions number, and really I don't really understand that point of view because yeah, I don't have that same life plan as them
mm-hmm.
for that. So yeah, I don't think we can answer that question by saying that I would probably see myself doing the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. Oh yes.
Okay, that's a fair answer as well. Yeah, not everyone has the luxury of planning into the future. Um, okay. Well, here's a tough question for you.
Oh,
If
let's see.
if you were in charge of, say, let's say there's this huge VTube community, something like Hololive, something like the companies that kind of rent out the avatars. Like, if you were in charge of that type of organization for a day or a week, what would you do in that time? What would you change? What would you innovate?
Hmm. Really, that's really a tough question, actually, because I think from my point of view, I am basically just a fan, just another person that would be in charge of a really prestigious place. I think I will probably keep things as they are because if I wanted to change something, it would probably backfire in another way that I'm not expecting because I'm not an expert.
Mm.
So, for example, if I was like, well, now VTubers are free to keep the character as they want, so if they live Hololive, they can live with the character that they made big. And it's not gonna be collecting dust right after they graduate or after they get fired. Yeah, I think that would probably backfire in a really bad way, especially with its sponsors and all that stuff that's behind the merchandising and all of that. So yeah, I think I would rather not move anything if it's still working good as it is.
Okay. Yep. That's another fair answer as well. Um, Before we move away from VTubing, um, I actually want to know for you, is VTubing which part of VTubing is more fun? Is it creating the model? Is it the streaming part? Like, what would it be?
Yeah, it's one of those things that is different in each person, but for me personally, I think the funniest part is actually seeing my model alive. Like you have no idea how many hours I spent creating this model. So seeing it move, seeing it wiggle, seeing those really small defects that are still bothering me late at night and not letting me sleep is kind of charming and fun in its own weird way.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I think seeing my model alive and actually doing what it was supposed to do is the most rewarding part about it because after all that's what you're working for, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you create? Just from an artistic point of view, like, do you have a favorite color palette? Do you have a favorite style? Because as you showed us 4 different avatars earlier, so like what I'm trying to find out why. No, what? Where does your mind go for the creation process? Do you tend to like do a similar kind of shape every single time?
Mm. Well, I mostly use the program called Beroid. It gives you basically an anime style character model base, and I simply work around it to make it look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of people use that program because it saves you a lot of time into modeling the model base. So you can focus only on the stuff that's gonna make your character different. For example, the the B-rate base would be like if you get Seiko and you simply took all of his clothes off. So when it comes to the glasses, the the earphones, the floppy disk, the tie, the shirt, all of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff is basically things that you have to customize on your own. I think I have been a little bit obsessed with customizing still stuff for my own since I was very young. I remember when I was growing up, I would always rent the WWE game for the GameCube and spend most of the time customizing characters instead of actually playing the game. The same thing as games like The Sims and all of that stuff. So yeah, I think it's something that I personally found really attached to customizing stuff. Maybe that's actually tied into the fact that I grew up playing with Legos and all of that stuff
Mm.
that is also customizable. So yeah,
Yeah. So you've liked kind of character creation from a very young age.
yeah. And
Okay.
as I was mentioning before, I don't like to stick into one particular thing. I like to expand my own abilities, find out what can I also be good at, and I try other styles. Like as you saw, Aspirian is absolutely completely different to any other character that I have made before, and I have made since, to be honest, because I made that model 100% from scratch. I didn't use the B-Rate model base
Oh,
at all for that model. That's why it was very special for me.
oh, I see.
Yeah, leaving that character behind was a tough decision, but I believe I made the right decision because I think that Ospherion is a character design that we can both agree that it's unique in its own way. It
Mm,
has its own charm. I can use it for something else in the future, like a game or something like that. And I feel Seiko's design is a little bit more. I feel it a little more personal because it was basically the first model I created in Beroid,
mm-hmm,
and I have followed that character design for a long time. So I feel more tied into Seiko than Experience. So that's why I decided be to be basically Seiko from now on instead of sticking into Experience.
mm. So if you could kind of go back in time, would you tell yourself like don't make Ospherion?
No, I would actually go right back into 2013 and tell to my younger self, do not go to Obregon Sonora. Don't go to that Itsan. No, that was the worst semester of my entire life. The worst. Hey, you will not let me lie about it. You were there,
Yep,
actually.
yep, that happened to me too.
Yeah, I think we can
uh,
both agree. But remember that day when I it was raining and I saw you at the library. And I was like, "Hey, could you watch my bags while I go to check if they got my phone repaired because it got wet and yeah, there was a mess."
it was terrible. It was really
Oh,
terrible.
did I tell you what happened right after that the exact same day?
No, tell me.
Yeah, I went to check if they had my phone repaired. Turns out it wasn't fixable. It was lost forever. So I just went back to Itson. I grabbed my bags. I went to have my last class of the day, and I went right back into the house where I was living at, and that it was still raining. Not sure if you remember if it was still raining, but it was. And in Oregon, it rains really hard, so there was a lot of water. The lights went out. It was a blackout, so I was like, well, it's night already. I'm just gonna drop my bag and jump right into the bed. And tomorrow we're gonna be like nothing happened. But turns out that I made my first step in front of myself, and there was water that was reaching almost reaching my knees. So then I don't remember what I did, but yeah, a car passed by and it made with the lights. It left me see that it was completely flooded. The house was completely flooded, and there were things floating around. And I was like, well, can I swear here? By the way,
We can bleep it out.
yeah. Well, beep this I'm going back to Guaymas.
Yeah,
so so that night I just went back to the bus station and went back home in Guaymas and it only went downhill from there if it wasn't bad enough.
if that wasn't bad enough, worst came. No,
Yeah,
that was a
I
terrible
came
time.
back home like at 3 a.m. or something. I got I didn't go to school the next day because I barely slept anything that night. So yeah, it was really bad. That's the only thing in my life that I would like to change if I could go back in time.
That one moment of, yeah, pure
Yeah,
pain. Oh gosh, I'm sorry you went through that. I, I don't remember what I was doing that day because I think I think I had already gone back to Guam. No,
I don't
I
blame
don't
you, and
remember.
none of us want to remember those days.
Yeah, I don't want to remember. Oh. Well, um, let's take a quick drink break.
All right. Um, I am a
For today.
fictional character. I don't
Yeah,
drink
oh yeah, you don't
anything,
drink.
so
I'm
I
sorry.
gotta
Yeah,
wait for you.
you can drink fictional Beppis. I have Beppis with me.
Bepes now. Bepes no. I think I should port that Bepes model into this thing to be too with it later on.
uh, all right, so we're gonna end this one-to-one segment soon, but before we end the segment, I'm gonna finish off with like 2 or 3 very like random questions. Okay.
Sure.
Um, and then after that, we will open up the questions to the audience. They already have questions for you, so I'll read them out later. But for now, okay. What is Here's a question. So, what is your perspective on spirituality?
Hmm. I'm not sure if I can give you a good question about that because I have never been a really spiritual person. I think the closest I have been to spirituality has been the readings that I have asked to make to me just out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But really, that's probably because I go by the philosophy that I try to I try to get the hang of my own life. I don't want to let ideas or anything else to tell me like, hey, maybe your life is going this way. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should be worried about this thing. Like, no, I hold the path of my own life.
Mm-hmm.
I decide what is going to happen and what is not going to happen. Sometimes it doesn't, and everything goes really, really bad. But I think it's all about having the that idea. Yeah, I think you all know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think it's completely fair. Some people, um, just they just want to have all the control, and if there's someone responsible, it's just yourself. Um,
Parenthesis, parenthesis. It's a good way to sound smart for not saying that I don't know anything about spirituality at all. Parenthesis.
it's fine. It's fine. People start. Some people start a spiritual journey when they're really young, or in their mid years, or when they're really old, or some when they're about to die. It could be any time. It could be never. Um, where in the world would you like to live if it wasn't Mexico?
Probably any other country in the first world, like I don't know, the United States, Canada, England, probably even Spain.
Mm,
Like, yeah,
mm,
I would probably like to live anywhere else where I could see a different culture. Like, I don't have
mm,
anything against Latin American countries, but let's be honest, they're a little similar. I want to experience different things. I want to see different places, meet different kind of people, listen to different types of music. Yeah, but it's probably not gonna happen anytime soon because I'm basically stuck here for some quite some time to go still. I still have in mind probably moving out to another country in probably some years. I don't have any time for any plan in the short term. But yeah, hopefully a chance will pop out somewhere.
Hmm. And for the last random question, let's see a good random question. Um, kind of trying to think of one. Let's see. Do you think someday we'll have like uh, holograms everywhere and everyone's interacting with an avatar and not with a real person?
I think there's always going to be a real person at some degree. Like for example, you see these AIs that are actually voiced by the real people. There hasn't been any, as far as I know, at least, there isn't any artificial voice that isn't voiced by a real person. Not even Hatsune Miku. Even Hatsune Miku is voiced by an actual person. So people are still gonna be needed at some degree.
Hmm.
For example, I'm not sure. Have you ever watched the Hololive real life concerts that they have been doing lately?
And not lately. I think I've seen
They
just
have evolved
clips.
really,
Yeah.
really, really interestingly. Later on, I may pass you a video about it, but
Hmm.
yeah, they have been using the augmented reality technology for them, so they are not being displayed in the crystal wall like Hatsune Miku's concerts from years ago. So yeah, technology is evolving. The hologram things is probably going to become a thing, but not in the way that we are expecting. Probably through the augmented reality thing. Like imagine if people are wearing glasses and then they see all these anime girls and all of that stuff around surrounding them. I think that's the closest that we're gonna get to that. And even then, we're gonna still have some human presence, like still people voicing them, still people behind all that stuff, and even like I think VR chat itself, it's a good example of that if you think about it.
Hmm.
Like when you hop into VR chat, you can literally be whatever you want. You can use the avatar you want, and nothing you see around, especially if you're using an actual VR headset. Uh, Nothing around there is real, but there's still real people behind all of those
Hmm.
avatars and characters anyway.
That is true.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that would be my answer.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching episode 2 of Under the Mango Tree with Seiko. This has been a very unique perspective on what it means to be a Twitch streamer as a VTuber. And if you have any questions or any comments, please leave those below in the comment box. And you can also catch us on Twitch when it's live, usually on the weekends, or you can catch us as an audio only podcast on Spotify. Thank you so much. See you next time.